So I'm trying a few different things here on YouTube. I'm pretty new to the community. So today I wanted to try like a vloggy, chatty sort of style video, and also just to become more comfortable talking to the camera as well. So I do have some notes, so if I look down occasionally, it's just so I don't sort of ramble off into the distance and sort of keep a little bit on topic, although it sort of probably is going to be a little bit of a ramble in general anyway. So I just wanted to talk about some of the things that I have been doing in my depth year so far, and some of the things I've been focusing on. So the first topic that I wanted to talk about were moon phases. I've started, as I mentioned in another video, in my planner, and I've got a video about my planner. I'll link it below if you're interested. So in my planner, I have a reference to the moon phases. This was just taken off Ezzy Spencer's Lunar Abundance website. So I've just got a reference to those, just like a quick at a glance reference. And I've also started on the calendar, just sort of like the monthly calendars I have. Let me find one for you. I have like noted down when we're going to have like quarter moons and full moons and that, just so that they're there and they're very visible to me, because I am looking in this daily. I'm noting things down daily, so it just gives me a good idea like roughly how long a cycle is. And as I said in a journal video, that I'm just focusing on 4 of the phases at the moment, like the ones that are very obvious to see in the sky, for example. So I'm working with those as well at the moment. I have been on Ezzy Spencer's website because she's got a number of free resources. So she has a number of podcasts, so I've listened to those. I have listened to a few reviews about her book, which is literally on lunar abundance, and it's something that it's gone on my to read or to purchase list. So I have already exhausted my book purchase for this month, or the month of January, but I will be purchasing it, I think, for either February or March. I have also listened to some reviews on the Moonology book, which I believe is by Yasmin Boland. Now that sounds like also another good resource that people seem to be really enjoying. I think I do want to start with Ezzy Spencer's Lunar Abundance because it doesn't link as much to the astrological information. For me, I'm quite new to this, so it's all going to be a lot of information, and so I thought I would start without the linking to the astrological events, and go from there. So in terms of working with the moon phases, in late December 2018, I did a sort of a letting go ritual, and I did pay attention to when the moon was in a waning phase. I feel like it's a lot stronger than me just going on, you know, here's my new resolution. From January 1, I will not do this. I find that having done that sort of like the ritual and the setting the intentions with the energies of the waning moon, it actually, I feel like it's a lot more powerful and it's a lot stronger. So I'm finding that that has really helped so far. I also recently worked with the energy of the new or dark moon, and bringing sort of a new intention or like a desire to the fore, something that I want to create and to be and to have. I'm also looking at the moon phases in terms of my menstrual cycle. Just a heads up that I will be in this next little while talking about the menstrual cycle. It won't be in a graphic descriptive level of detail, but I'll just be talking about that. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I've started charting my own menstrual cycle in my planner. I've recorded like the day, or like, for example, the date, the day that it's on, the day of the menstrual cycle, the phase of the moon. With this little drawing, it's sort of not particularly representative, so I'm thinking I might start doing, for example, over the page, I've started recording the percentage. I think they call it lunation, so the percentage of fullness of the moon, or something like. I'm not an expert. I'm very novice here, so I think I'm just going to record the percentage just so it gives me a better idea of because these little pictures aren't really doing much for me. But I've just basically been recording like my energy levels and my moods and how I feel, and just sort of noticing what comes up. So a couple of years ago, I stopped taking the pill, and that was just a personal decision. And I just want a disclaimer here that this is like my personal decisions. This is not, I'm not prescribing that anyone follow what I am doing, or that this is the way, the only way that I think that anything should be done. I just want to put that out there. So just what I'm doing personally. So I stopped taking the pill maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, just because I noticed that it was really having an effect on like my overall mood. Like I was really down, and I swapped the types, so I got a different type, and that was even worse. I noticed that like my mood, just like my energy was all over the place, and like to the point where at some point I felt a bit neurotic, and also along the way, like when it got time for my period to happen, it actually hurt. Like I was actually in pain because it was forcing it into a particular week, and it wasn't necessarily, I guess, the time for it. So I basically just stopped them cold, and I feel like it's really evened out. And I noticed for this particular moon anyway, I started bleeding actually on the dark moon. So I'm noticing that it's a lot more predictable, regular, doesn't cause me as much pain or discomfort or anything like that. And yeah, so I've started doing the tracking, and that's going really well, and I'm just looking, I suppose, to find out my energy levels. I did read Lisa Lister's book on called Code Red, which is all about that, and just interesting to note that maybe you know, to pay attention to your energy levels and see where they're at. And of course other things affect it, like for example the heat, for example, is affecting my energy levels right now, I can tell you. However, you know, if there is like a correlation between, you know, when, you know, like a week or two before you actually start to bleed, if your energy levels are quite low, then you can actually use that information and work with it, as opposed to trying to like push on and work harder and do and be and you know, like get out there and just, you know, power on. So that's, I suppose, what I'm really looking to gain from this. So in addition to coming off the pill, I have also stopped using like plastic or throwaway menstrual products. So originally that was from a environmental perspective, so I wanted to reduce the amount of waste that I was producing, so that's where that came from originally. But I'm also seeing that it really does tie in with like a sort of a more spiritual, more like in-body experience. So being present while you bleed, I suppose, not sort of I guess putting it on autopilot and ignoring it, and just sort of like trying to get over it, basically. I did try menstrual cups. I just can't use them. I know once you get the knack, I hear once you get the knack, you've got the knack, but for me, I struggle with it, and because it is a bit of a challenge, I've just put it on the too hard pile. And because you know, like, you know, at work and all that sort of thing, like I don't need that additional sort of like pressure on myself and whatever. So I just stopped like trying, basically. So that's something that hasn't worked for me. Maybe it'll work for other people. Maybe it works for you, and that's awesome if it does. For me, I've given that one a shot, and I can't do it. So the book by Lisa Lister has really, I guess, just tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, you know, there's a different way that you can think about it. It's not sort of like a, you know, 3 to 5 day pain in the ass time period. It can actually be something that and was actually something that women previously had sort of like celebrated or treated as like a specific time to sort of slow down and stop and go inward. And I really like that idea. So that's something that I'm going to be looking at doing. And I suppose inspired by that, I did make a purchase. So I have purchased these are like period underwear. So this is an Australian brand, the Modi Body. and I purchased a couple of pairs of those to use for my period this time around. And I suppose in doing that, my reason or my intention for doing that is to be as close to freely bleeding as possible without not having any protection whatsoever. So I think at the moment this is as free as I'm going to get, but also have to participate in the outside world, if you know what I mean. So going with the period underwear, so probably a mix of period underwear and like cloth pads, and I'll see how the period underwear goes. If I'm like 100% on it, I might do the switch completely. Another thing which I am looking into in terms of that as well is the idea of the menarche and the red tent. So the menarche being the time that you start bleeding. Obviously that has long passed me, but just reading up a little bit about it and seeing how different cultures and in different time periods have sort of dealt with the issue of women's bleed time, and in different religions as well, like what do they think about it, or what did they think about it. And the other concept, or the other thing I want to look into, is the red tent. Now the red tent came from a historical context, but it's actually I believe it is an organization today where women go to gather at specific times of the moon, for example, and to share stories, and I guess just be around other like-minded spiritual new age, I suppose, type women. And this is something I've only started looking into, so I can't necessarily speak be the spokesperson for that organization. But one big reason why I chose to focus on these topics in 2019 was that up until now I have been, I guess, like vibing and putting out and working on this masculine yang sort of energy, the energy that's sort of the dominant energy in society, where you strive and you push through, and like it's a linear progression on things. I really haven't had those really yin feminine energies around me that often, so it's obviously not something I've seen modeled, so I really haven't been able to connect or identify with that type of energy, and it's something that I really feel is sort of lacking for me. So I had to stop the camera because the postman or the post lady came, and I'm super excited because she brought 2 books that I got from Book Depository. Now I am on a 1 book per month limit, but so for example, this will be my January-February read or something like that, and I won't be able to purchase any more. So this first one was recommended by Katie Flowers, who is an Australian YouTuber, and I thought it sounded really relevant because it was a Australian context one, but also is something that I think I'm going to be struggling with because I'm quite new. I haven't celebrated the traditional Wheel of the Year yet, and already I've noticed, obviously, because Southern Hemisphere, it's reversed, so there's already that sort of confusion there for me. But also I suppose connecting with the Australian landscape and what the seasons kind of do here as well. So anyway, this is called the Australian Druidry book, and it's by Julie Brett, and I thought this sounded really interesting, so I'll read the back for you. It just says, "This book works as a supplement to the study of Druidry and other nature-based spiritual paths as practiced in Australia, and discusses the difficulties in following a nature-based tradition in an environment very different from the place the tradition was created." So yeah, this is very interesting. I think it's going to give me a different way of looking at the seasons and like, for example, how they sit within the Wheel of the Year, and what this might look like in Australia, or just open me up to a different idea. So my idea was to celebrate, or to be mindful, and to learn more about the traditional Wheel of the Year as it applies to the Southern Hemisphere. So literally go through the 8 celebrations within the span of the year, and document them, and I suppose journal about how I'm feeling about them, how they're working, and whether I feel connected or not connected to them. And maybe it'll be something where I end up looking at a bit of an alternative Wheel of the Year. I'm really excited to read this one. And this next book was also, I wonder, Kate Flowers might have recommended this, but I know a number of other YouTubers and other like forums have recommended this book as a like a pretty good high level sort of like resource. So this is the Paganism book, the Paganism: An Introduction to Earth-Centered Religions, Joyce and River Higginbotham. So I thought this would be really good too, because as a new, I can't even call myself a practitioner, so someone who is new to this whole path and sort of spirituality, I don't really want to put any labels on myself because I don't know enough about it, for one, and two, it may be that it evolves and changes over time. I don't really know what I am at the moment, so I feel like this is going to be a good resource just to read through and understand the broader paganism. I have actually read one of Scott Cunningham's books at the very start, which was an excellent resource, but I suppose I would have loved to have someone ask me that question or tell me that potentially I should be looking at the broader context before I go straight towards a particular practice. I'm really excited that I've got these two resources now, so I will be reviewing them in the future as I go through those. And as I said, I think my next purchase is going to be the Ezzy Spencer's Lunar Abundance. So if you are still here, wow, thank you so much for listening, and I hope to do some more of these like little depth year slash I guess spirituality updates throughout the year, just as a way to I guess keep in touch with the community and document my progress, or not necessarily progress, but my learnings, and reflect on the year that was. For example, this will be an excellent sort of reference for me to go back to find out sort of like how my journey evolves, but also to also get comfortable talking to the camera as well. Alright, so anyway, I'll leave this here. I will stop talking now, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.